Our playoff football Friday night at 7 p.m. You won't want to miss it. It's presented by First NBC Bank, and of course, you'll have a chance to come to sportsNOLA.com for the best scoreboard in Louisiana, presented by the All-State Sugar Bowl. Almost 50,000 visits to the scoreboard site last Friday night. Ponder that number. It's second to none. It's where everybody comes. It's sportsNOLA.com. And of course, on radio this Friday night, we'll have the rematch, the two mega powers, Archbishop Rummel and John Curtis, in the semifinals of the Division I playoffs, live on WGSO, 990 AM. And that's within the original Prep Football Report, which is on WGSO, on sportsNOLA.com, and statewide Friday night. So the game within the show with all the scores and live reports, you won't want to miss it. It doesn't get any better. And we'll have a game as well at sportsNOLA.com, streamed live on Friday night. Stay tuned to sportsNOLA.com, and we'll tell you all about which one it will be within the next day or so. You will like it. Ken Trahan, sportsNOLAtv. The LSU Tigers went to Oxford. It didn't go well. They had the all-white look, and despite a 57-yard run early by Leonard Fournette, that was called back by penalty. Ole Miss boxed him in, and they did whatever they wanted because LSU can't tackle and they can't cover. Other than that, they're real good on defense, and Ole Miss just had their way. And when the Tigers did do anything well on offense, they had a penalty to negate it, or they made a mistake, or they turned the ball over. Brian, it's just an illustration that they're not very good. Ole Miss whipped them, Arkansas whipped them, Alabama whipped them. Those are better football teams than LSU.
Well, I tell you what, the way Alabama got it going, Kenny, this club is still feeling the effects of that loss. I'm convinced of that. And they haven't responded. You talk about being, a hangover from a loss. That's the hangover. You're right, Kenny. They have been outclassed, outcoached, and the last three games reflect a team that is not prepared to play every weekend.
Yeah, I mean, anytime you come into a ball game, you can see where they clearly were out coaching the ball game. I mean, they got some good young players, but I mean, I never did really know the scheme or what kind of scheme they was running. You see they had Fournette going, the same like they did last week. Everybody know where he was going to be at.
This is so easy. And Ricky, LSU's quarterback play, not impressive to you, right?
No, he dictate where the ball going every trip. I mean, he look at the receiver down, and I mean, I just don't understand it.
3 turnovers, 13 penalties, 38-17 victory for Ole Miss. And as a sidebar to that, if you have a chance to wear your traditional uniform, wear it. You want to wear the white helmet, you want to do the white pants thing, do that as a change up at home when you got to wear purple, or when you have to have purple on the road for whatever reason. But again, you have that iconic uniform. Alabama's not going to wear something like that when they have a chance to wear their iconic uniform. Neither is Penn State or any of the others that really matter that have great programs over the years. Just a thought. Where Tulane was concerned, it wouldn't have mattered what they wore because they simply performed poorly against SMU in another embarrassing defeat. SMU is a one-win team, maybe a little better than their record indicated based on who they played, but still a one-win team. 49-21 SMU over Tulane. The total yards weren't there. SMU's total yards were. Tulane had Tanner Lee get hurt again, and they did very little offensively. But what was really troubling in this game, Brian, was the fact that Tulane's defense was so poor because they've been solid much of the year.
Yeah, they stole a page from the rest of the aspect of offense and special teams. And you're right, Kenny. Tulane was 2-2 at some point, all right? They're 1-6 in the American Athletic Conference. And again, it's a reason why I think CJ's in serious trouble up on Willow Street, Ferret.
Well, I'll tell you what, Brian. CJ went from the defense over to the offense this week.
well, I'll tell you what.
Offense to the defense.
Yeah.
Right, went from the offense to the defense.
But they did. The defense had been keeping them in games. But
right.
You get worn down for so long, okay? And if you know this, you play the game at a high level. You come to the sideline and you know that if one side of your team isn't really carrying itself, it's difficult to stay up week after week after week, and that's what's happening with Tulane right now.
And in the old days, what you used to can do when I get to practice, I could kind of beat on those guys who wasn't doing good and try to, make them straighten up. But now you can't really hit nobody or do any stuff like that no more.
It's a fragile psyche.
So
there's no doubt about it.
Totally difficult now.
We've now arrived at a point where the search for an athletic director has gotten down to brass tacks. We expect something to happen within the next 2 weeks where Tulane is concerned. And they did announce that there were 5 finalists previously, just last week, and we have reason to believe they've narrowed that down. And with that in mind, a decision, I think, is imminent. And when that decision is made, then you can rest assured a decision on the head coach will follow pretty swiftly, because Tulane has just the 1 game left against Tulsa. Because, Brian, if you're going to make a move with a coach, you got to do it very swiftly and quickly and act on it. A, you have so many other programs looking for coaches right now that you're going to be behind in the pecking order. And B, from a recruiting perspective, you've got to sell prospective recruits and even kids that have already committed that you've got a plan in place and that you're going to have a coach ready to roll.
I absolutely agree, Kenny. And it's the reason why they're probably speeding up this selection process for that very thing. Rick Dixon is not going to actually step down till July, so they're going to have a person in place before Christmas easily.
Right, but my whole thing is, what big-time coach would want that job? I mean, that's going to be the whole. That's going to be the whole case.
You have to go the model of a young, bright assistant who hasn't been a head coach previously, and take a chance on him and give him an opportunity. You have to go that route. That's the only way it's going to work, because you're not going to be able to get anybody of the ilk that you're talking about. Look, Tulane's done it twice with the veteran coaches. Vince Gibson, my great friend, I love Vince, and bless you, my friend, and your family. I love your family. But Vince Gibson, this would have been his last job at that time. And there was Lindy and Fonnie available at that time, and they passed on him, which was a mistake. And then, of course, you fast forward, and you had a similar situation with Bob Toledo. This would have been his last job as a head coach, and oh, by the way, it was. And you could have hired somebody younger. No knock on Bob either, and I like Bob a lot. But the fact of the matter is, those are the kind of guys you're going to get that have head coaching experience. That's why you have to identify, have a good search committee, and find a guy that's a promising young assistant that's going to come in. Don't worry about if he's going to leave in 3 or 4 years. Just come here, turn it around, get it established. If he leaves, but then make the next good hire. Yeah, that's what they haven't been able to do.
You need to leave. It's like a Boy Scout. You need to leave your campsite in better condition than how you found it. I agree with Kenny totally. If you can get someone in here to come in and do a good job for 3 years, say, and then move on, that's fine.
Yeah, but I mean, you got to get somebody to recruit.
Oh, absolutely. Well, they thought they had somebody in Curtis, Ricky.
Well, I mean, that's going to be the whole thing. Find somebody who can recruit and know football.
Right.
There you go.
All right, if you want to recruit, you might want to start in Louisiana with some outstanding high school football teams, because we are to the round of the quarterfinals on the non-select side of things, and here is your schedule involving area teams. Hank Tierney's Ponchatoula Green Wave, after upsetting #1 seed West Monroe. Hank returns to the West Bank, where he had all the success at Archbishop Shaw and then West Jefferson, to play against John Ehret, another really good team under Corey Lambert. Landry Walker off of a huge upset win at Byrd in Shreveport will play at Mandeville, and the Eddie Ogeron Sons, who have just played great for the Skippers. Parkway, unbelievably high-scoring team against another unbelievably high-scoring team, Destrehan. That'll be a shootout, points aplenty. In 4A, Warren Easton and McDonough 35, rematch of a district game. Easton won the first one 31-7. 3A, Bogalusa, Amy, they know each other very well. Northwest at St. James, they've got the Lyle Narcisse pack. 2A, Mangum and West St. John. Kudos to the Rams. What a win on the road against #1 seed Manny. That's right, a 17-1 again. And then, of course, in 1A, Logansport is at Kentwood. The Kangaroos under the tank. They're hard to beat. I'll take them anytime. On the select side, the blockbuster, of course, we'll have on WGSO, 9:90 a.m. Rematch game. Curtis and Rummel. Rummel won the first meeting, 21-14. In Division III, Notre Dame, great team. St. Thomas Aquinas, great team. They're both 12-0, and then playing that game at Strawberry Stadium. St. Charles Catholic won a win at Madison Prep, and all they get for that is a rematch with powerful Riverside, who whipped them in the regular season. Woo! What a schedule. You talk about a great schedule. Go see a high school playoff game. I'm fired up. I'm ready. Let's go now.
I'm excited. And I'll tell you what, the best game in this city Friday night, it's not Tulane and Tulsa, it's Curtis and Rummel over at Joe Yenny Stadium.
And I'll tell you what, man, that's going to be a game.
Yes.
And I might go.
Who you like? Who you like?
Well, I've been hearing so much about Curtis, but I like Rummel.
Okay.
All right. Well, all right, I'll tell you what. I'll take Curtis. All right?
All right.
Because, as you know, Kenny, that beating them twice in one season is a mammoth task.
I don't know that anyone's ever done that.
I know.
They haven't. Stay tuned when we return in just a moment. The Pelicans and an upswing as SportsNOLAtv continues.